Reading, it is the process of taking in the sense or meaning of letters, symbols, etc., especially by sight or touch. It is a multifaceted process involving word recognition, comprehension, fluency, motivation. Meaning reading is making meaning from print. It requires that we identify the words in print through a process called recognition. Why is the reading the core of syllabus in Kenyan schools? Point number one, it fosters nationalism, patriotism, and promotes national unity. It also promotes social, economic, technological, and industrial needs for national development. Reading should instill social and adaptive skills in the learner for effective participation in the family, community, national, regional, and international development. Reading is also important in technological and industrial needs. It should develop in the learners necessary competences for technological and industrial development for the nation in tandem with global trends. It also promotes individual development and self-fulfillment. Reading should provide opportunities for the learners to develop to the fullest potential. That includes development of one's interests, talents, and character for positive contribution in the society. It also promotes sound moral and religious values that are enshrined in the Kenyan constitution and should be geared towards developing a self-disciplined individual. It also promotes social equity and responsibility, promotes respect for the development of Kenya's rich and varied cultures. Reading promotes international consciousness and fosters positive attitudes towards other nations. It promotes positive attitudes towards good health and environmental protection. Then maybe what is the purpose of reading? Why should we read? It is to connect the ideas on the page to what you already know. That is the main purpose of reading. If you don't know anything about a subject, then pouring words or text into your mind is like pouring water into your hand. You don't retain much. For example, you can see these numbers that are on the screen. This is too hard to read and remember. But if I introduce a hyphen in between 1 and 6, then it makes it easier because of the chunking. 1, 2, 3 hyphen 4, 5, 6, 7 is easy to read because of prior knowledge and structure. Similarly, if you like sports, then reading the sports page is easy. You have a framework, it is in your mind for reading, understanding, and storing the information. It also improves comprehension. Reading comprehension requires motivation, which is a mental framework for holding ideas, concentration, and good study techniques. It develops a broad background and also helps us to know the structure of paragraphs. It also helps us to summarize and review important ideas and also monitor the effectiveness of reading. Then what are the types of reading? There are different types of reading. One of them is extensive reading and intensive reading. Extensive means covering a substantial area, and so extensive reading refers to the type of reading in which students read and refer to large quantities of material chosen by themselves, as against intensive, which refers to in-depth or concentrated. Therefore, intensive reading means that the type of reading in which the material has to be read carefully and thoroughly to get specific details. So there's a table here for you to go through it. Comparison between extensive reading and intensive reading. At your own time, ensure you go through that table. Then there's also another reading skill called skimming, and it actually means to read something at comparative faster rate without going to an in-depth reading, so as to have an idea of what the work is all about. On the contrary, scanning implies a reading technique in which one takes a quick look at the document so as to find the specific information contained in the written material. So there is also a comparison between skimming and the other one. I think you can see it there, the quick and selective method of reading. Ensure you go through those. Then let's go through what a library is. It is a store, the storehouse of knowledge for posterior use. Human knowledge can be recorded and preserved in different media. Some years back, documents written or printed in paper were considered the best medium, but with the development of science and technology today, electronic multimedia have been widely used for preservation of knowledge in the libraries of any kind, whether it may be public, academic, national, or special library. So there are different types of libraries that are classified according to the services rendered to the reader. So there are 4 different types: as academic library, special library, public library, and then the national library. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.